I'm half Japanese and half Mexican, but I don't identify as either. I generally let people pick which one I am based off of my looks. So when I was growing up, I couldn't identify with any group in particular, and I was always jealous of people that were pure in the sense that they only had one ethnicity. Something I like to tell people regarding myself or just being ethnically mixed is that I'm concerned about producing severely ethnically mixed offsprings. So whoever I marry, so if I marry someone that's Korean, my kids will be half Korean, a quarter Japanese, and a quarter Mexican. But in media, you'd see pure family. So the Bill Cosby show, Everybody Hates Chris, Fresh Off the Boat, they're all one ethnicity as a family. But at the same time, it's not totally bad because I feel like as we proceed into this millennium, it's becoming a norm to see more ethnically mixed people.
Okay. Hi, my name is Angela. My mom is Indonesian and my dad is white. I never really thought about race until middle school because during that time is where everyone finds themselves and starts to identify with certain things. And I never had that because people would always consider me as different because I wasn't white or I wasn't Asian. I was kind of a mix of both. They want to categorize you. They think it's important to like fit in a certain group. In high school, I did have a friend, and she asked me about like marriage and stuff. Specifically, she said I would date someone outside my race, but I would never marry them because I want pure kids. And I didn't understand what that meant because was she calling me impure? Like, what is pure? I kind of thought of it like I was a mutt. Like,
I am half Korean, 1/4 Venezuelan, and 1/4 white. I remember one time in class, we had a substitute teacher. She was calling roll, and she said, Grace Hutchinson. I said, here. So she looked at me, looked back down at her clipboard, looked back up at me, and she laughed, and she said, who is the real Grace Hutchinson? Because apparently somebody who looked like me couldn't have a name as white as Grace Hutchinson. One thing I noticed while reading through the book by Erica Lee, it's 519 pages long, and she only mentions multiracial people once in chapter 7, when she's talking about the South Asians marrying the Mexican and the black women. That's when I sort of realized people don't really talk about being multiracial. It's not something very well known. Just because I'm multiracial doesn't mean I'm similar to other multiracial people. And I always wanted that sense of belonging because it was kind of lonely because nobody ever talked about being multiracial. Erica Lee, she writes a whole book about Asian American history in which being multiracial is a big part of. But she only mentions it once in a 519-page book. There is also the idea of ethnicity versus race, because ethnicity has more to do with your culture, your experiences, and race has to do with black, white, Asian. People say you can only be one race. But how can that apply to people who are multiracial? It's a very difficult situation to be in because I do not consider myself to be Asian, I don't consider myself to be white, and I don't consider myself to be Venezuelan. But I consider myself to be all three. The easiest way I can explain it is imagine a Venn diagram of 3 circles. And in the center where all 3 circles connect, that's where my name would be. But I am not exclusively one race. In the keywords for Asian American history, the word multiracial, the author explains that multiracial was often a negative term. It's sort of interesting because now we're getting to a time where the world is more modern, the world's supposed to be more understanding. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. It's not that the world looks down on multiracial people, it's that the world doesn't really know what to do with us. Because we get to choose which ethnicity or which race we affiliate with more. I think that the world is almost intimidated by us because they cannot put one single label on us because we are different.